Hey everybody, that's Eric from ESR, Eric Swahn Racing. This is the EricSwanRacing.com podcast, and today we're going to have Nolan Lamkin. He's a professional motorcycle racer with Moto America. He's been all over the world riding and racing motorcycles. Check out our little discussion here. It's about an hour long as he's off to Road America to race at the first inaugural Moto America race with no fans. Check it out. Thanks, guys. Hey, what's going on, Nolan? Can you hear me?
Hey, Eric. How are you doing?
Doing excellent. Sorry I'm so late today. Just getting home from work from my normal job and rushed downstairs, and I hear the there's a fire alarm beeping, like the battery needs to be replaced. So I'm like, finding out which one needs to be replaced. So it's not chirping online, and while we're on live here, we're not actually going to be live, but it's recorded, so I can edit anything out that we need to. Things like that, and then I get on the computer and my internet's not working. So I'm like, oh no, the one day I need my internet to work and I couldn't get it to work. So I just restarted the computer and it seems to be fine right now. But it's good to connect with you. I see you got your Dynaze gear on right in front of your bike. I like that.
Yeah. My desk has like the absolute worst lighting of any place in the house. Yeah. It's like backlit, so it's like, yeah, it's fun.
Sure, understandable. I just got some umbrella lights here I installed. I got one of the LED strips, trying to make it a little bit better, trying to have it more lit over here. I got my little backdrop with different trophies and things. It's like my credentials, I don't have a degree to put on the wall, but I got all my credentials. I'm sure you got the same at home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a freaking lot. I mean, because I've got some, but they're just like stacked up vertically on the floor somewhere.
Right. Yeah, these are all in a box somewhere in the attic. I'm like, man, I should do something with all these. It needs more exposure than just my attic, right?
Yeah.
So it's good to talk to you, man. I think I've known you since maybe 2011, 2012, something like that.
Yeah, I think so. I remember back when I was on my RS 125, you were doing a lot of stuff on this country.
Yeah. I think that's when we hooked up and started to talk here and there. And we've talked a little bit here and there throughout the years. I think it's probably the longest conversation we'll have actually so far. Most of the time, exactly. Like, hey, good job, or a quick thing here and there. So I'd like to get to know you a little bit more, learn about the Lamkin story, and see what it's all about.
Yeah. It's been pretty interesting. Where I started out on the RS 725, and then slowly kind of made my way up from there. And it's been interesting seeing how racing has come now, where back then it was everybody's on a different bike. Oh, this person's on an RS 125. Oh, this person's on a Milwaukee. Oh, this person's on a Ninja. Yeah. Everything is all over. And then now with Moto America doing some more stuff, it's being a lot more centralized. So I think I got on the KTM 390 back in 2015, and I was the youngest competitor there for a little bit. And then went up to Super Stock 600, where I again was the youngest rider for like the next 2 years. So it's just been interesting, and now I'm in super sport. So
it's good to see that progression. A lot of people just will stay at one point and never really move on, but you seem like you've adapted pretty well to the different bikes. And you were even, I think, a Red Bull Rookies Cup selection rider for a little bit there.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, that was a really interesting experience. Flew over to Spain and rode over there, and it was incredible. I mean, I only tried out, but it was one of the most impactful experiences I've had for my racing. I wouldn't be here if I didn't have that experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. I always wanted to get up to the higher classes expert ranking just to kind of follow the faster guys. And once you're behind them, you can see, well, I could do that too. It gives you so much confidence. And I'm sure riding at the international stage, you're an international motorcycle rider now, basically. Yeah. And that's got to give you so much confidence in your back pocket.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, as I went over there, and it was fall break in 7th grade.
Yeah.
And I'm with other people. I made the cutoff date by 3 weeks.
Oh wow, very close.
And it was really cool, and seeing the different stuff. It was kind of difficult of where whenever I was over here, I rode my Milwaukee 250, and I knew the bike and everything about it. I went over there and I was riding a Metric Kit 125. And the bike was not in the best of condition, as you can say. I have 100 different kids riding these 6 bikes, trashing them all day long, and the Americans would go out. But I learned so much from that experience, and like just seeing how those bikes worked and some of that stuff, and it gave me stuff for down the road where the bike wasn't set up for me at all, meaning not even the shifter, nothing. It was just you got on the bike and rode it. So I was trying to shift, and I was like, man, this is weird. Like, I can't go up the gears, and then realized that, oh no, it's just because like I was a 13-year-old idiot, but
yeah, none of the ergonomics, no suspension dialing in, none of that. It's just here, get on a bike, it works. Here, the wheels spin and go. You know.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because for me, I knew an RS 125, and I knew how those had to be ridden. The Metro kit, yes, it was a 2-stroke, but it's very different. So I was trying to ride it like that, and just like screaming the thing. And they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't know what I was supposed to.
Shorter in the RPM range.
Yeah, exactly. Because the dash didn't work. Like it just like in a circle.
You just go by sound then.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And that's all GP shift, none of that standard shift on the GP.
No. No, thankfully I got the Milwaukee the year before, so then I switched over to GP shift for that. Those bikes were GP shift, so I mean it's not that big a deal now, but back when I was 13, I was like, oh my god,
yeah,
I can't do that.
Yes, and then you're screwing up, you're going the wrong way here and there in the pit lane, like, oh, I forgot, yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting track day trying to get that wrapped around, but
and, way before then, you've been riding long into your early digits, is that correct? When you were just a little.
Yeah, exactly. Santa Claus brought me my first bike, and I was 2.5 years old. So
before you were running.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he brought training wheels with it, so it was good. It was. It's funny looking back at that, and I found some pictures the other day of this blanket being draped over this thing and walking down on Christmas morning with all the family around and pulling this thing off, and it's a motorcycle sitting there, and it's been really cool. So started off on the JR50 2-stroke, then went to KX65. Started racing when I was 9, so started out at the go-kart track over in Ohio, and it's interesting to see how stuff is done in the Midwest, and then being able to go over to Spain, go different places in the country, go over to California, and just see how all that goes together, and then seeing what we do here, and that's just, it's interesting from my point of view. But
do you think we do more of the motocross and they do more of the pavement in early ages, or what do you see as some of the bigger changes?
The biggest thing that I see is you go other places and there's a lot more coaching where, like, so I'm from Indianapolis and everybody's like, oh, it's Indianapolis. There has to be a bunch of stuff there. There's nothing here. But it's something that it's a passion thing for me where I want to be able to do that stuff, because you go to California and there's go-kart tracks all over the place, but then there's also coaches and stuff like that all over the place. You're in Indiana and there's basically nothing. There were a few schools here and there, but then they got shut down or whatever happened. So if you're in the Midwest, you have to go down to Florida or Georgia or do that stuff, and it's not having the stuff for kids to be there. Because I know a couple kids around the area, and it's just they have to drive down to. One of them is in South Carolina this weekend, and it's just that's the biggest thing, is it's having focused coaching, not necessarily just the development. There's a lot of flat track and stuff, but not so much road racing.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. You know, how the different cultures collide or they clash here and there. Everything's different, you know. Now, I never really got my start on when I was 3 years old. I never got that little bike. I pressured my parents for so long, and they said, "Oh, you'll grow out of it too fast." So I didn't have that incredible dirt foundation or even 50cc bikes when you're growing up that I'm sure is so helpful nowadays. Now, what do you normally do for your off racetrack training? Are you more of a bicycle guy? Or are you a mini bike in the parking lot type of guy?
So for me, one of the things is I haven't really done that much dirt riding. I've done the Texas Tornado Boot Camp twice. One of them was with Jason Pridmore, and that's basically the extent of my dirt riding. I wish I could do more, and I'm working on getting it fixed to go and do that. So for me, there's 2 go-kart tracks near me, and that's where I get like my riding in. One of them's just south of me, like 40 minutes. The other's an hour and a half over in Ohio. And those are what I do. I ride a CRF 450 and a CRF 150. And those 2 bikes are really good. And it's, for me, just getting more experience on the bike. But the biggest thing that I figured out is it's not just going out there and riding. It's going out there and focusing on stuff. I mean, I've always done that. And you always do that. But it's thinking more in depth. And that's something that I've really kind of figured out over the past couple of years. So everybody has their own thing. Some people are like, oh, I mountain bike. And that's what I do. I will crush everybody in a mountain bike. Or it's road cycling, or it's these different things. It's jujitsu, it's whatever. And it's just, I've had fun being able to try each of those different things. So some people I know love road cycling, but it's just in my area, we're far enough in the city that we don't have a bunch of country roads, but we're far enough in the suburbs that we're not like, all right, we just have to go and drive somewhere. So you're like in this weird little in-between place, but
Kind of like a purgatory there, where
yeah,
you're not too far in the country. You can just go out and ride as much as you want. But yeah, I think, if money was no option, I would be riding more of a motorcycle, whether that's a smaller 450. I mean, that's not small, but smaller than your road bike anyways,
exactly.
where you're getting that actual brake and throttle control. I'm riding my mountain bike all the time because that's kind of like the second best, cheapest thing. But really, you want to be on something motorized where you can feel that acceleration and feel that braking pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very good. And then what would you say is your diet regimen? Do you have a certain diet regimen that you stick to, or are you kind of all over the place, or what do you think about that?
So for my diet, it's really been a learning experience over the past 8 months. For me, I don't stick to one thing. I'll eat basically anything. For me, I just try and keep everything in moderation and just kind of eat some basic stuff. I don't eat milk or eggs
Okay.
because I'm allergic to it. So it's really bad because I love eating eggs. Like I'd have the eggs with everything. And I was like, oh, no, you can't have that anymore. A little part of my soul cried.
Yeah, it stinks.
But it's, the biggest thing is I just eat all the vegetables I can. And that's been the biggest thing that I found is it's just seeing what feels best. Everybody has different things. Some people are keto, some people do whatever. I just don't really want to think about it that much.
Gotta go with what works for you. Are you a big carb loader, like the night before, that kind of thing?
No, not really. It's the difficult thing is you read different things online about different training and stuff, but motorcycle racing is so unique that you can't really use those other sports for racing. Where you look at mountain bike riding and they're going and riding for 2 hours or whatever. So they need something different than riding a motorcycle flat out for 30 minutes.
Sure.
So there's not that much information out there, but I don't really do anything too heavily one way or the other. I don't eat a ton of carbs. I don't eat no carbs. I don't eat a ton of fat, but I don't eat no fat. I'm just kind of in the middle, and that's what I figured that's worked the best for me.
More balanced. That makes sense. Yeah, I think, motorcycle racing is unique in that you don't need to be just ripped to be able to ride it. You see some women out there in the past, or even like Jamie Astudillo. She's a smaller woman, and yet she can ride the bike pretty well.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of it can be mental or your unique style that you ride in, I think.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is the mental side, and whatever you need to do to feel comfortable is what you do. It doesn't matter if you're Caroline Olsen and she's like a 5'4" Norwegian girl, or if you're Pridmore, he's a 50-year-old man from California. It's just figuring out what works for you and what you need to do to feel comfortable. The biggest thing riding a motorcycle is just the mental side. The mental side is everything. And once you can kind of get your hand around that, the rest of it falls into place. You realize you're doing things on the bike that you've never done before.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I get more nervous doing things like this than I do actually riding a motorcycle. Like I'm not the greatest public speaker or interviewer or any of that stuff. So I don't know this aspect of it, but I've done 160 races and I know how to start a bike. You know, I know how to get on it and do some laps. But branching out and doing other things is sometimes more nerve-wracking than anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you mentally prepare? Do you do any sort of mental preparation or meditation, or do like, I used to do a lot of visualizing. So I'd have someone hold my bike and kind of go through the motions and everything while I'm sitting on it. Do you do something like that?
So for me, one of the things that I've been racing for a little while, so I've kind of built up my own little routine.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing that I found for me to go and race is being prepared ahead of time, so I don't have to worry about it when I'm at the track or on the bike. So I try and do a track walk every time I go out, and that's just seeing the different stuff. But there isn't one thing that I found that's been, oh, this is what I need. It's doing a lot of warming up before you even get on the bike, so then you're not even having to think about that stuff. You already know that you're good to go, and you're ready to go from when the green flag drops. Because that's the biggest thing, is you race in Moto America and you see track day riders or club racers, and they come out and it's so different from what they're used to. It's, you're going from the start, you're not waiting 15 minutes. And that's one of the things that I had to get my head wrapped around. And I can go out and do a time, and I've been able to do a time forever. And it's just been finding those other small pieces to put it all together. So like, you go into a track day, and a track day has no pressure. There's no nothing. You're going out and riding. But you go out and race with Moto America, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, there are these semis. I've got to like step it up. But you don't need to step it up. Like, I'm doing like 117s at Jennings, and it's no issue. I go out there and I don't freeze up, but it's just been something that I've had to work on. So just having a routine that I go through all the time is what's been really good for me. Some people overthink it, and that's been my problem.
Yeah.
Now else's, but just letting go and riding the bike. You know how to ride the bike. You don't forget that. It's just all those other little things.
Yeah.
Trust
the fact that there's 30 semi trucks in the parking lot, and there's TV cameras from shooting all over the world now. It's makes you think a little bit. I don't want to make this dumb pass and make a mistake and look like a fool, I'm sure, but then there's the other part of, you already have it inside you. You're a great rider. You just got to go out and do your thing and not worry about the guy in front of you. If he's away and you can't catch him, it doesn't make sense to throw it down the road, or whatever the situation is.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the things that I've kind of figured out is we had a bunch of mechanical issues before, and I work on the bike myself. So I do all the work here, and knowing that the bike is good for when you go out, that's one of the biggest things, whether you're a track day rider or whether you're racing in MotoGP. Knowing the bike is solid underneath you is crucial. You don't want to be worried about, is this axle loose? Because as soon as that thought pops in your head, your session's gone.
You're not going to be going at 100% anymore if you think your handlebar is going to be pushed in the next couple laps, right?
Exactly.
And when you first started working on your own bike, did that make you more nervous, or did you make it make you feel better about it that your dad's maybe helping you through all these little issues with the mechanical side of things?
So for me, it was like, so there are some riders out there and they don't work on their bike at all. They just, even in the KTM Cup, their dad's bike, they didn't touch the bike, and that's how it was.
Show up with a plane ticket and just ride.
Yeah. For me and my dad, the situation that we worked out is, I'm going to help work on the bike. And when I was riding a Milwaukee 250 and I was 13, it was cleaning the wheels and doing some small stuff like that. Now it is like, I pulled the steering stem off and changed the swing arm last week. And it's just getting comfortable doing it. Like the first couple times I was taking the airbox off and I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I'm airbox off. It's not that difficult. I can pull the airbox off, the throttle bodies off, and start changing the oil, and it'd be done in 10 minutes. Yeah. So getting comfortable with that stuff, being comfortable with, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I'm going to figure it out. and there's not that many resources online. So that's been something that I've been trying to work on a little bit. And that's the thing, is it's whether it's racing and you're in the Midwest and you don't really know how to ride, or you don't really know what all needs to be done to an R6. There's so many different things that people know, but it just doesn't spread quite the way that other sports might.
Yeah, I think the not knowing and not wanting to break something is probably the biggest barrier for people. But when I didn't do any engine. I did some transmission work, but I didn't touch the suspension too much and the internals. But everything else is really just nuts and bolts. I mean, if you take your time, if you give yourself a week to do this project or how long you have, you'll find it as the end event comes closer, everything kind of starts to get back together very quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
With that deadline looming.
Got 2 weeks, it'll be fine.
Yeah, then last minute at the track, finishing up the last little bolts in here and there sometimes. But
that's the thing, is it's getting rid of those small things of having to finish the bike at the track. When you don't have to think about that, especially when you are the rider and it's your club racing, your track day riding, or doing whatever. If you know the bike is done, like, you don't really need to do that much. Like, we have our engine worked on. We have 3 engines that we'll swap out in the year. That's just so we have. And I'm racing it in Moto America, banging the thing off the limiter. Like, you aren't going to be doing that at a track day. Right. So, and you don't really need to touch the suspension at all. So I just go through and clean everything, making sure the stuff is functional, checking out the bolts, making sure that the bolt tip isn't rounded off. And having an organizational system for that is the biggest thing. Is you take a bolt off and you set it somewhere on a tray or wherever, and all of a sudden you come back and you've got 1 extra bolt. Where did that come from?
Right.
So like finding a cupcake tray is game changer, because then you can set the bolts inside each individual thing. So then it's all together. You're not having to be looking in this huge tray and all of a sudden you're like, I have every bolt for this bike in this tray.
Right.
That's what it goes to.
Yeah, you forgot what they were. You didn't take a video of it beforehand.
Yeah. Because you can buy different manuals, but they're all for street bikes. It's not a race manual. So there's so many small tricks here and there that you don't know about and you don't even think about, like grinding this little bit off your chassis and you get the swing arm or the upper shock bolt to slide out. I never even thought of that.
Nobody would ever tell you that unless it was an industry insider,
Right. That's the thing for me, is I had experience and I was able to get to talk to these really cool people. And they're like, oh yeah, this is how we're going to build this bike. Oh, okay, that makes
Yeah, I remember when people were pulling parts off of my bike, like, don't I need this? Nope, you don't need that. It's fine. Just it's a additional part that's just plastic or OEM based that's really not needed for racing applications. There's a lot of parts like that.
Right.
For sure. So I see you're wearing your Dynaze. Let me talk about that a little bit. They're one of your gear sponsors. What gear do you wear from Dynaze?
So for Dynaze, I've been in their suits since I was 12 years old. So wear Dynaze suits and then the AGV helmet. Right now, I've been wearing the Corsa R for a while, the helmet, and it's been perfectly fine. Really, it's just having the pull tabs on the helmet. And it's crazy, where I wore another helmet brand and then switched to the AGV. And the viewport is huge. Like, you can't get any better. It's almost like you're not wearing a helmet. And
yeah, they've extended their view up top here.
Yeah.
In a tuck position.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like I lean off the bike and you can just see everything. So the biggest thing is just being comfortable. Once you're comfortable, then you can do whatever you want to do after that, whether it's you being comfortable with the bike or you being comfortable in your gear. So for suits, I wear a Deezer suit. I have it custom made, and that's partially because I'm 6'1". So most suits don't fit me off the rack. But their stuff's been really good, and I've crash tested it only a couple of times.
Yeah.
So, and the airbag is crazy.
And that's the one with the accelerometer on it?
Yeah.
Or the one with the pull tab?
No, it's accelerometer in it. So you're untethered.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories of people getting off their bike with a tether on and forgetting that it was still tethered and having everything blow up on them.
That would be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. So your D-Air suit, how does the airbag feel when it goes off? Is it everywhere, just the chest compression area, or is it legs too, or how does that work?
So it's all upper body, and it's really to protect your collarbone. So it goes through your chest and up over your shoulder. There are some that go around your rib cage, but they say that they've had other riders test them and they don't like it. So they just do the upper portion. When it goes off, the best way that I can describe it is if you have a bunch of like windshields behind your back and you pop up and you can't move.
Yeah.
You're just for like the next 3 minutes and then it will deflate.
And
It feels, but it's probably not. It's just that you crash and you're like, where is it?
you're all puffed up. And that's
Yeah.
2 cartridges?
And the DR system is one.
It's just one, okay. Very cool. And you've been using the DR suit for a while now. Would you ever go back to a standard suit without an airbag?
So, no. I don't wear an airbag suit whenever I'm training at the go-kart track. That's because I don't have enough suits to wear one there. And it's also I'm doing 40 miles an hour. So I don't wear one there. Above 40 miles an hour, I would not wear another suit. It's having an airbag is, I've high-sided myself plenty of times. So the DDR system saved me from so many collarbone incidents. I had one really bad crash and all I did was crack a collarbone.
Oh, yeah.
And like that alone, it's worth the money.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you'd be paying for all that that extra money. If you didn't spend it on a suit, you'd be paying for it in hospital bills or aches and pains. And I remember the collarbone break for me was one of my worst breaks because everything's hanging off of that shoulder. And
Yeah.
everything, all the ligaments involved, just very painful.
Yeah, it's always fun. Mine thankfully wasn't too bad thanks to the DR system. Or I don't know about yours. Mine didn't break like a piece of spaghetti. It just kind of cracked like that.
Okay.
So it wasn't too bad. I don't sleep on my right side anymore. But I was able to ride 3 weeks later and it was doable. I couldn't do a push, but
Yeah, that's pretty quick though. Yeah, 3 weeks. I think Lorenzo was like 3 days or something like that at Aston a couple years ago. That's ridiculous. But he had surgery.
Yeah, he had his plated. So that's still, yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't break mine racing. I broke mine. I was reaching for a hockey puck playing the summer league of a hockey league. It didn't even matter. And a guy hit me from behind, and I got a concussion, and I broke my collarbone at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't even fall down. I didn't know it was that bad. I was like, Coach, put me back. He's like, I think you're done. Your arm's hanging down here, you know.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was silliness. So I've thought about those Liat neck braces. Have you ever thought about one of those? I see very, very few people use those in road racing. It's more of a motocross thing.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about those. I know with Dainese and AGV, the way they design it and they've gone through the testing process is the helmet that they have works with the suit.
Okay.
They're fit with one another.
I didn't know that.
Different helmet brand and a different suit, putting them together, hoping it works. You know that you are designed for one another. You have full range of motion and it's there to protect you. I don't know any of that other stuff. And I know it's even somewhat controversial in motocross. So
Okay.
I don't really know.
Yeah. I'll have to ask some more motocross guys once I get them on here to get their answers for sure.
I'd like to know that.
Yeah, I've always thought about it. I think that one of the issues is when you're looking up, it's hard to have a neck brace that's going to sustain your neck in place and still have you have the full range of motion when you're in the full tuck to be able to look straight up.
Yeah, because that's the biggest thing.
Right, and then if you want to do a check behind you, how is it going to be able to have all that range of motion and still protect your neck?
Yeah.
So, some things to think about for sure. Let's see, I got a little bullet point list for you here. What about some of your other sponsors? Anybody else come on with you this year?
So we have a few other people coming on this year. Cycle Gear is still my main title sponsor. and they've done so much. The biggest thing is most of my sponsors you can buy through Cycle Gear. So we have brakes coming on this year, along with Samco, and you can buy both of those through Cycle Gear, and that's one of the biggest things. You can go there and go online. You can go in store and buy EBC brakes. Go online, buy Samco full race radiator kits, and that's been really good. I also have Superbike Unlimited, and they're another parts distributor. So one of the parts that I use on my bike is Translogic. They're an auto blipper company. So you're able to get that through Superbike Unlimited. So the auto blipper has been really good. I used that last year as well, and it's really, really nice.
For seamless downshiftings, talk about what that actually does.
So the way that it works is you plug it into each the coil packs on your bike, so into each spark plug, and then you put a quick shifter thing in there as well. It runs at the back of the bike with this other module system, but whenever you're shifting, it goes for up and down shifts using the two things together. So the thing for me is it's the same thing every time. Every shift is always the same.
Identical.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't feather the clutch exactly right. You don't blip it enough just right. The bike starts sliding, you start doing some more of that stuff. With the auto blipper, your downshifts, the bike doesn't really move. Once you get the tire pretty used up, then it's a lot more all over the place. But using the clutch, it's different every single time. And for some people, that's great. Other people, it's not. For me, it's just eliminating one thing that I have to think about. So then I don't have to use the clutch once I go from the start. It's focusing on different things. So you can only focus on 5 things at a time anyways. So if you can eliminate one, that's 20%.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. You know, a lot of people race without even a quick shifter, and imagine being beat to the line by 1/10 of a second here and there. That's gotta, it really hurts. You know, if you had just had a little bit more technology in your bike, you'd be right there.
Yeah, they say that when you went from no quick shifter to quick shifter, it's like 1 second, 2 seconds a lap. So then what's it going to be with the auto blipper?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all these little tiny things, they help a lot, for sure. I didn't even have a quick shifter on my old Kawasaki when I rode, and I got beat by 0.048 seconds to the line, you know. And I was like, man, I would have had that one. There's a bunch of races.
Yeah.
And are you using any sort of aftermarket clutch in there, like a slipper clutch or anything?
So we've done both. Last year I didn't run a slipper clutch. This year we put one in. We haven't been able to do much testing with it this year. We have a Yo-Yo Dynamo, we have a Suitor. Right now we have, I believe, the Yo-Yo Dynamo in there right now. Just going to see how it works. I can't really say anything on that.
Yeah. It just helps with the downshifting, the really hard downshifts. So your rear tires and skipping off the ground too much.
Yeah.
You can go into the corners a little bit smoother, and then hopefully get out of the corners just as well. I remember I was at the track with a guy named Jason Farrell, and I was asking him, man, how do you take this corner at Blackhawk? I was like, how do you take this corner? Are you in, slow in, fast out? He's like, man, I'm in, fast out. I was like, that wasn't the answer I was looking for, but thank you,
Yeah. Slow in, fast out. Fast riders are fast everywhere.
Yeah, that makes sense, but that wasn't the helpful answer, right?
No. Yeah.
So you said over the weekend you had some training schedule. What kind of fitness training are you doing? More strength conditioning or more cardio?
So for me, one of the things that I've been focusing on is strength and flexibility. I don't focus that much on my cardio. I've worn a heart rate on the bike plenty of times, and my heart rate's like 130. The max that it gets to is 145 on the bike. So I don't really focus on that much. For me, the biggest thing is I get off the bike and I just feel sore. So it was more just muscular strength. So that's what we've been focusing on for the past 8 weeks. So that and flexibility. I didn't realize how stiff that I actually was until started doing some things. Jesus.
You doing some yoga?
See, like, that's the thing is I used to do yoga, and like the position wasn't great, but I look at myself and I'm like, oh no, that's fine.
Yeah.
But we have a trigger point system, so it's in the other room, but it's a foam roller on steroid.
Yeah.
It hurts so bad. It gets better, but you're still like, man, this is rough. But that's one of the things that I think will be interesting. And we've made a bunch of changes over the past 8 weeks. And we're going racing this weekend. It's the longest that I've ever been without riding the R6. So I'm interested to see how some of that other stuff comes along. Because I've still been training, but not been riding the big bike on a big track and some of those things you can't quite get. But I'm really excited. I mean, I see that you've been doing a bunch of the sim racing, so I wonder how that compares. Because what tracks have you been racing?
On the sim tracks, I've been kind of all over the place. I did Silverstone. I did, Laguna Seca. Lately, actually, the past few days, I haven't been using the sim setup. I haven't been using the actual simulator, the pedals and the wheel system, because I just got the new MotoGP 2020 video game. And I thought really strange riding a motorcycle with driving a wheel and using pedals. So I haven't tried it yet, but I'd like to try that setup. And on there, I went through, Qatar. There's a new, I think it's, is it the Finnish ring that they just built? So
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn that one. Man, that's a tough game. I put it at 100% difficulty on, pro and realistic, everything. And the first couple of times I did it, I was just running out of gas halfway through the race because I didn't realize there were a couple of different power mappings for your fuel consumption. And you can like an anti-wheelie control. There's a looks like some sort of braking stability control where it's like an endo control kind of thing. And then you have your traction. So there's like 4 different settings you can change all on the fly at once. So I've been kind of getting my butt kicked, messing with all the different settings and not paying attention and looking at this and like, oh, I'm off the track now,
Yeah.
It is nice that they do have a replay function. So if you skip up the last 4 seconds, you can just press a button and it takes you back instead of your whole race. It might not be as legit as if you crash, you're done, but it's a nice helper anyway, so you can turn on or off.
Yeah. Yeah, because I got into iRacing a little bit. And the first, 2 days, I was like, oh, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
This is terrible. I don't know how I'm going to do this. It's like I saw some stuff that you did, and you were, outside the car. And I was like, I wonder if I can do that in iRacing, But he's like, no, it's only cockpit. And I was like, oh, my God.
Inside.
Oh, my God. This is bad. But then now it's like, oh, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah,
and it's been
for sure.
Yeah. It's been really fun. And also going to different tracks and then going through the learning experience of the same way that I would go on the motorcycle and training some of those ways that you can't train otherwise. So it's training. It's been really fun.
Yeah, I know. I haven't tried the iRacing yet. I've been a bunch of different people have told me how great it is, and they even have local tracks, I guess, like Mid Ohio or Grattan. The tracks that aren't in MotoGP or Gran Turismo, they're just not going to be in those. iRacing is a great way to do that. I've been really messing with the Gran Turismo PS4 and the MotoGP one so far. And I like on how the Gran Turismo game, you can go into, you can play sport modes and you can play online with different people, but they also have championship modes, which are virtual championships where it might have, 8 to 10 races. You just pick a certain car and you're with that car, and through the whole duration of the season, you get points toward a real championship.
Okay.
And that way you can compete against people who are in your own type of class. So you're not racing with someone who's going to rear end you and knock you off the track in 5 seconds. It's just frustrating, but it's all part of it.
Yeah. That's one of the things that they do with iRacing is they have 2 different scores. So there's a safety rating and then there's an I rating. So they try and separate some of that out. And if you are a smack people in the back in turn one, you're going to be with other people who are going to smack you in the back in turn one.
Yeah.
So it's also where there's actual stuff at stake. You have these ratings that you have, and if you do stupid stuff, you're getting knocked down for it. So it's not like you're in Forza and you can crash into anybody and it doesn't really matter. And you go to the racetrack and you crash into somebody and you might really get hurt, or it's going to cost you a lot of money. So they try and have it be like that in the game. So it's been pretty interesting to see how these companies try and tackle that.
Yeah, for sure. And I get nervous just doing that. You get to start to sweat a little bit. It's a 20 lap race and you're second place and I got to get this guy,
Yeah.
It's just like the real thing. And in a way, I mean, there's much less at stake and it is practice, but it's still, you're racing against people who really care about it and they're pushing each other and they're pushing you. And
Right.
I'm pretty fast, but there's still somebody that's 3 seconds a lap somehow faster than me. It's like, where are you finding this time?
Right.
It's all about
Yeah.
levels.
Yeah. This is the thing. It's like I'm used to Moto America races, so I'm used to being able to like find a sector timesheet and look and see about what the people are doing. And you're like, all I know is this dude's 3 seconds faster.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Sometimes you can see their ghosts in certain games, but you can't see their sector times and where they're getting better and faster than you.
Yeah.
I thought me getting into sim racing is one way for me to not have to spend tens of thousands of dollars at the racetrack this year. It's
Yeah.
not as fun for sure, but it's like I'm getting out there a little bit. I'm doing my mountain bike racing, which is 100 times cheaper than that for now, and sim racing. So I'm still racing and doing foot races. I got some foot races, racing plaques and bibs up here. So I'm trying to get back out there, but trying to save money as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So is it like marathons, or you've been doing shorter stuff?
I haven't done a full marathon yet. I've done a bunch of 5Ks for practice and sanctioned races.
Okay.
10Ks, a couple half marathons. I'm not that competitive as a runner, but I think it just it puts you in that mindset.
Yeah.
They're not all straight courses. They're all through the park or wherever it is. And I noticed myself, not cutting people off, but I'm taking the line away from you. I'm not letting you pass me on the inside, and we're going back and forth. And I know this guy's faster than me, but I don't care. I'm going to hold my line,
Yeah.
And but it's competitive in its own way. I'm much more competitive in the mountain bike stuff than the foot races. It's I'm better at the wheeled competitions, but it's all fun. Just trying to get back out there here and there. But what do you think in your life has changed since this pandemic? What do you have a normal job, or are you doing this full time? And what's your normal daily schedule look like?
So for me, I actually did get a job at the end of last year, doing some stuff for Vance and Hines, working on some cylinder heads. So that really helped transform my life, and it's made me a much better racer. Just having some of that stuff, not the engine, but just having the daily structure and that stuff around it. And that's one of the things that I don't think many true like motorcycle racers quite understand, of having where it's I'm gonna go do whatever I want to do today, and it's not going and working a manual labor job for 9 hours a day, coming back home, and then still having to train and do all the other stuff for the racing. So I had that, and I haven't been there in 2 months due to the coronavirus stuff, but been doing some training online with my coach. He's Michael Torres. He's down in Miami. So it's doing like 3 a days basically. We'll warm up and stuff in the morning, work out in the afternoon, and then do another like mobility stretching, that kind of stuff in the evening. And it's been really nice to have that. And that's one of the things that I see is in the Midwest, we don't have some of that, where when you're in other places, you may not have a specific trainer, but you're all there together. So you kind of group do stuff. In the Midwest, it's me and one other kid are in Indiana, Dominic Doyle, but he's down in Columbus. It's like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Hours for me. And then there's nobody in Moto America like around, and it's just been difficult. But that's one of the things in the US versus over in Europe. In Europe, Texas stretches from Portugal to the Czech Republic. So
Right. Very different demographics.
yeah,
Yeah, that's something I've noticed is, I have tons of friends, but they're all scattered around the country now. It's you go to their track day and they're from 10 different states, or you go to
right.
Motor America and they're from the entire country now, or even
Yeah,
international. So it's very different. That's why stuff like this is great. We get to connect virtually, and you might not be next door, can't hang out in person, but um, it's still good. You still get to connect with people. So that seems so interesting, having to work on motorcycles. When I worked at a race shop myself, I always felt like, man, just even having these parts on a brain is going to make you faster. Just thinking about this engine porting, this just being around it, smelling the smells. I think it can't slow you down.
right. Yeah, it's for me, being in that professional environment really helped with me. The other thing is I'm working on my competitors' engines. Like I have it in my hands, and it's just cool. I mean, because I'm going to do the best job that I can, because at the end of the day, I want to beat them knowing that I did the best that I could on their engine. And it's me as a rider, not any of the other stuff. So, 'cause last year was a really good year for us. We slowly worked our way up and had some few breakthrough moments, and ended up finishing P8 at Barber. So it's been really good, and I'm really excited to get to Road America and see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, and that's an internationally renowned track, Barber. IndyCar goes there, and Moto America, and sports cars, and all different kind of stuff. I'm sure you've had some good practice there with the GNF and Wera even.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the tracks that I've been to the most. Just even though it's Alabama, it's one of the tracks that we go to quite often. And it's a really cool track. The more times you go there, the more you realize stuff. Not even necessarily the track, but it's all the architecture and all the stuff around the track that you like. I never noticed that Sasquatch sitting on that hill.
Yeah, or the
And
sponsors, all the different.
yeah,
There's like 30 or 50 different art pieces just hidden all
yeah,
around
yeah,
the complex.
yeah. Somebody said that there was a map somewhere of each of the different stuff, but I don't know if I believe that, because I think that they're just going to hide stuff just to see if somebody would ever actually find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm excited to be able to go to Indianapolis this year. Finally
That'd be big. That'd be your true home race.
Right, exactly. It's 30 minutes from my house.
Wow. Better have a big bash there for that one.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was really excited because it was going to be the final race of the year. So I was like, oh, this would be even better. But Laguna got moved, so it's not anymore. But I'm really excited because normally we're having to think about moving in and, oh, we're going to have to leave at this time to make it to the track. And it's like the closest track for us is 5 hours away. So this one's 30 minutes. We can leave
whenever you want
and make it there for the 10:30 move-in. So I'm really excited. And there's such an atmosphere in Indianapolis that I think it'll be really exciting to have Moto America be there.
Yeah, and when was the last time that MotoGP race there? Was that 3-4 years ago, maybe?
2015.
2015. So yeah, 4 or 5 years ago now. Do you miss having Mid-Ohio on the schedule? They don't do that one anymore, I think, because of the pavement and the rain situation.
Yeah, exactly. Racing in Ohio in the summer, it's gonna rain, and that track you can't ride in the wet. I was there on my Milwaukee 250, and it was misty in the morning, and the tire was sliding. So this is gnarly. It was foggy. Sorry, not even misty. It was foggy. That was some of the craziest stuff. I rode the track once. The fans there are amazing. There's so many people there, and that's what's really exciting. But I think a lot of those people are going up to Pittsburgh now, so you still get a lot of the same fan turnout. The track was cool. I rode it once, so I can't really say anything too certain. And I was riding a Milwaukee, so that long back straightaway felt like it was forever.
Yeah, that kink there for sure. It's a long one.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to go back there on a 600 and see how they're doing. I've heard rumors that they're going to be fixing it up, changing the pavement out, but I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, it'd be a couple $1 million job, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was the thing that they used to joke about with Nelson ledges.
Oh yeah.
Oh, people would complain about like their GoPro falling off. They're like, yeah, well, it'll cost us a couple million to get this thing fixed. What's 50 cents of safety wire for your GoPro? What?
Yeah, my GoPro actually fell off my bike at Nelson Ledges. I lost mine there. And I was pretty sure it was actually safety wired on. It broke off the other mount. I didn't do it right.
Jesus. Because I had one rattle off, like the sticky part came undone.
Yeah.
And fell.
Well, actually, I think what happened was it cracked at the base of the casing. So I think it was still attached to my bike, but it cracked on the mount part of it.
Oh my gosh.
So that's okay. It would have been a cool video though.
Yeah.
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 But let's see. I have a couple of random questions here for you. What do you think about the spec tire? Do you like having a spec tire? Do you like having everybody in the same tire, or would you like to see more options come back into the field?
So I think it's good having a spec tire. One, racing is expensive enough. So when you have one manufacturer, it's not introducing a whole bunch of other variables to it. The tire itself is amazing. I don't have anything. Some people complain about the tires and it's this and it's that, but race the tire. Deal with it. I mean, whatever. And the tire's been really good. I think a spec series, that's one of the things that I was kind of sad about with Moto America, is they got rid of the KTM Cup and then they added so many other things. And with that, it adds so many other variables. So I think it's good having a spec tire and spec series. I can't change anything. So it's not like my opinion is going to do anything. So I'm just going to deal with whatever I've got and be happy with it.
Now, talking about that brings up, would you like to see some sort of spec class in the 600 class? Or like, what if everybody was on the same bike, same electronics, same components, just like, kind of like the KTM Cup was, but maybe for a 600 or maybe for that for a 1000 class? Do you think people would enjoy that? I think it would definitely reduce the big gaps in the playing field, because then you're really just down to the riders, and it's not about who has more money.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. I mean, because that would be interesting. Because Moto America right now has a ton of Yamaha R6s in it. So it
seems like it is on those kind of bikes.
Yeah. It's like the reason why we're on one is you can find parts anywhere. There's so much availability, and the bike's been well developed. So that's why we run an R6. I hadn't thought of that, but it'd be really interesting. I know that I think Italy has a R6 Cup.
Yeah, 600 CBR I think they use.
Yeah, that may be it. So I'd like to see that. The thing for me is the younger bikes, it makes a lot more sense for me. You can get a kid on a bike young and have them develop on that bike. And it's not adding more variables for the kid. When you get older into some of the other series, you might be, when you're on a 600, you've already developed as a rider, you've already developed as some of these other things. And the teams might be bigger you might get more participation if you have different bikes open. And you can do not that much to 600 anyway, so there's not a big difference. It's just those small little things. So I'm not really sure, but that's a good question.
Yeah, I've thought about, there's such a huge disparity in MotoGP between certain manufacturers and others, and it's like, well, I mean, yes, you want to have a top series like a Formula One that is designed to produce new technologies, but I think every other class is designed in our level at least to reduce expense and to have the riders' talent show through. So maybe that'd be a way for other talent to show through.
That's with F1. been getting into it a lot more recently, and it's every team has to produce their own chassis. So that's only feasible in F1. Like MotoGP can't even do that. MotoGP, you have not only is it people aren't making their own engines, they're not making their satellite teams, and that's stuff that I think is important. Where it is not having Williams on the back of the grid, not scoring a point except for Kubica last year. Yeah. So there's a dichotomy in a lot of that stuff, and it's walking that fine edge of performance, but also a good race. But Superbike's done a bunch of stuff, and they're trying to bring the bikes down. Like for World Superbike, I think it should just be open. Let them do whatever they want with the rev limit. It's a Superbike.
Yeah.
Bike, but it's a tight line to walk, and I'm glad that I don't have to do that.
Yeah, all the regulators and all that. I've seen that in World Superbike to try to get the levels closer together. Even though those aren't prototypes, they're still super bikes. They're still modified. Everything's modified on those, even the frames. They've had these rev limiters in place so that Kawasaki, you've won for the last, we forgot how many years in a row, that we're going to take your rev limit away or reduce it. And that they still won the championship, even with the reduced rev limits.
Yeah. Yeah. Those bikes are really interesting to look at. And the MotoGP bikes, I want to see what a World Superbike looks like up close. Because I've seen our Superbikes. And like the MotoGP bikes, I was in one of their pit boxes when they were here in Indianapolis. And Colin Edwards' bike had little 1 ounce wheel weights stuck on the frame. And why are there wheel weights on your frame? And it was because Colin wanted the balance of the bike a certain way.
So it's more of a ballast just for that particular area for unsprung weight, maybe.
But it's 1 ounce. That's impressive.
To be that finicky and say, I want an ounce here.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was one of the coolest things, and being able to walk around the MotoGP paddock, that's been really cool. And I mean, that's what my goal is with my racing, is it's to get over to Europe. So it's interesting to see the differences in how we operate here versus over there.
Yeah. And so going back to your Europe comment there, do you want to go to do like a UK series or the 600 SC, what is it, the CEV championship, or what are you thinking if you had a choice?
I don't really have an opinion on that. I mean, I'd like to go to Spain. Everybody wants to go to the CEV, then you're going to the World Championship. It's the Junior World Championship. So that's where I'd like to go. And I've had last year was a really good year for us. We were able to make some really good steps, but I haven't come close to showing at all what I'm capable of. So been working on some stuff to show that. And there's some times in which people ask the question of, oh, what's your favorite track? Or what track do you like the least? And I don't have any of those, but that's just because I don't want to set myself in a mindset of, oh, I don't like this track, so I don't like this track. Or, oh, this is my favorite track, so I'm going to put a bunch of emphasis on this one. It's trying to stay even keeled, because there's something that's good in everything, whether it's a track that you may hate, but you don't really hate it. It's just that there's a couple areas that you don't really quite understand yet. So that's some of the mental stuff.
Yeah, for sure. There might be a corner that you don't like as much at this track because it's more difficult. But you could take that corner that you learn at this track and apply it to the next track. Like, oh, I know how to take that one now.
Right, exactly. There's only so many different corners. It's just how you put them together.
Yeah, with a different elevation or camber changes. And I think Grattan was the first track I rode. And that track is ridiculous because there's off camber, blind corners everywhere. And I thought every track was like this. And if I could ride, and they tell you, if you can ride this track, you can ride any track because it has everything. It might not have blaringly fast straightaways, but it's got a pretty good straight. It's got just about everything you need.
Yeah, that straightaway is pretty good. you get cooking on that thing. It may not be Road Atlanta, but you're cooking it.
Or Road America, you've been going to Road America in a couple of days now, right?
Yeah, we leave tomorrow, so it's always a fun one. Glad to get out there finally for round one.
And that's not too far of a drive for you, a couple hours?
No, it's 5 hours, so not too bad. We're 5 hours from Road America, and then we're 6 hours from Pittsburgh. So those two tracks are actually pretty close to us. Thankfully, being in Indiana, you can kind of make it to all the tracks, and it's not too difficult. Going to VIR is 12, but
Okay.
that's about it.
Kind of centrally located in Indy there for you.
Yeah. Crossroads of America.
It's they always say motorsports capital of the world, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is you can go anywhere in the world and say you're from Indianapolis, and people know where that is.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. But I'm glad they're bringing back motorcycles because that was one of the biggest things. Is it's the racing capital of the world, but you didn't have motorcycle racing for a couple of years. So now it's starting to come back around.
Very cool to see. And so this weekend is going to be a first for Moto America. No spectators.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how all those small things kind of work out that you didn't think of. There's always something that you didn't think of. And you're like, oh, they're having some different regulations for this race. So interested to see how that'll work out. Just like technical stuff, not on the bike, but how you're operating in the pits. So
it'd be different tech registration, I'm sure, and you got to stay 6 feet apart. And I think probably in a shed for a while for your temperature to cool down before they can scan you.
Yeah, that's some of the stuff that I'm interested to see how it works out.
Now, do you think that a lack of audience will make you ride or race faster or slower? Or do you think that's going to have an effect on the group, the grid?
So we're going to Road America, and it's huge. It's a 4 mile long track, and you could probably fit 2 Indianapolis Motor Speedways inside of there. And the track is so big that really you don't see the fans because the way that they're all situated is you're not really looking at them. There are a few different areas in which you're going through turn 7, and there's this wall, and like there's a bunch of people who are normally there. But especially, it's not like you're going to Barber and you're coming out and you just see this huge wall of people when you're coming out of like 5 different corners. So for me, it's not. And for all the riders that are going to be there, I don't think it's going to matter. Everybody's just going to be happy to be able to go back out and start racing again.
Absolutely. And then is it a couple weekends after that you're going back to the same place and there hopefully will be spectators?
Yeah, so there are supposed to be spectators. It's June 26th, I believe. So,
okay.
And it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic works out again because it's the only time we're going to race at a track and then coming back to race that same track 4 weeks later. So
everybody should be up to speed. Everybody's a little faster, a little knows it better. Unless it doesn't rain, track times will be a little faster.
Yeah, exactly.
It might be more difficult the second time around, or it might be easier because you know it.
Yeah, that's some of the stuff that'll be interesting to see how it comes out. This is something that nobody's ever done before. So
yeah, and now the season's going to be pretty condensed. It's going to be pretty much every other weekend from now on, it seems like, till November.
So I'm not entirely sure because it was Road America, then Road America, and then we were like 2 weeks back at Laguna, 2 weeks back here, 2 weeks there. They moved Laguna, so some of the stuff is different now, and I'm not entirely sure where. I think there will still be some breaks here and there. So we will be going back to back from New Jersey to Barber though. So it'll be interesting.
Absolutely. And I got another random question here for you. What is your take on the helmet law? I'm not sure what it is in your state. And what do you think people should do, whether there's a law or not?
So I've crashed a bit, and I don't understand how somebody can not wear a helmet. Even the wind alone, I don't understand how you can wear a helmet even with glasses, and just not feel like your face is getting ripped off.
Yeah.
Like you do 30 miles an hour on a scooter and my face is just pulled back. So I don't think there's a helmet law in Indiana, but it doesn't cost that much money to get a helmet. $300. Like, how much is your head worth?
Right.
So you crash, what happens? Even like, I don't understand it, but I'd love to talk to somebody who doesn't, just to be able to understand their point of view, because there's obviously some reason why they do it, but you can just rip your entire face off. And that's just from the abrasion, not even the impact. So I couldn't do it.
So helmet for you every time?
Oh, God, yes. Thankfully, I ride on the street. I don't even have a motorcycle license, but no.
So that was going to be my follow-up question. Are you a street rider? You said you don't have a street bike.
No, I'm not. Just real quick, I'm going to have to get off here in a couple minutes, just
Sure.
because I do have a workout session. So
Yeah. We can pretty much cut it whenever.
Okay.
So yeah, I actually wrote a paper on the helmet law in high school and college, and I think that there should be the option, because we live in America, and you can choose not to, you can choose to, but obviously if you don't wear one, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Because I wear glasses and a helmet on my bicycle because I fall down every once in a while, and you get so many bugs and sticks and rocks and things. It's just something you don't have to worry about anymore. Wearing glasses at least, or a full face helmet ideally.
Yeah.
Just a no-brainer, and it looks cool, right? I think it looks way cooler than not wearing one.
Yeah. I mean, because they have one of my helmets up in Cycle Gear store, and they say that it helps sell at least one helmet every week.
Yeah,
just because
all signed.
It's like, oh my God, I couldn't imagine not wearing one.
Oh, you're talking about like a crashed helmet?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I keep one of my crash helmets right here, and it's got some scrapes on it. That would have been my face.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like my face. I grew up with it.
Yeah.
So, all right, we don't have to go too much longer, but if you want to do any more sponsor shout outs, go for it.
Okay. I mean, really, it's just find stuff that works for you. And if it's going to a Cycle Gear and trying gear out and doing that stuff, you can order the gear, have it shipped there. And if it doesn't fit, you can return it. It's getting stuff that works for you. And Cycle Gear is one of the biggest things. So you can get so many parts through them. That's being comfortable. They have 100 stores across the country, so there has to be one by you.
Very good. And where can people find you online?
So they can find me on my Instagram and Facebook. It's Nolan Lamkin 52. And then I have a website as well, nolanlamkinracing.com. So I post some tech tips and stuff like that on there. So
yeah, very good. And last thing I wanted to say was we love your tech tips. Those are awesome. We want to hear them. Keep them coming. And do you have any more tech tip ideas in the works that you're working on right now? You can give us a sneak peek on.
Yeah. I've got a couple that I'm working on right now, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to go about it. So keep an eye out.
Very good. Well, thanks, Nolan, for talking to us so much. And you're off to go get your workout in, so we won't keep you. And I look forward to seeing you racing and this past weekend at Road to America.
Hey, Eric. Nice talking to you again, and forever. Whew.
All right.
Eric.
Have a good one, man.
Bye.
Thanks for watching the video. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. I'm going to have podcasts out as often as I can, hopefully every week or more. This week I did 2. Last week I did 1. I try at least 1 a week. Stay tuned. Today's featured product is IRC Components. IRC makes auto blippers and quick shifters for your motorcycle, available for Aprilia, BMW, Ducati, Honda, Kawasaki, KTM, Ohalvi, Suzuki, Triumph, Yamaha, and DynoJet Rapid bikes. This will help your quick shifting. This will help you cut your engine power so you can have perfect, seamless quick shifts with upshifting, and if you're downshifting, there's also an auto blipper, so it'll do that for you as well. Check them out now. We also have Spark Italian exhaust. These come straight from Italy. They've been around for 40 years, Spark Exhaust has. They're handcrafted for the ultimate in performance, sound, and weight reduction. They have full exhaust systems, semi-full, and slip-on exhaust. They also use exquisite components like titanium and carbon so that you have the best in weight reduction, power, and sound. Check them out now. You can buy them on ericswanracing.com and shopesr.com. Thanks, guys.